Whee! Whee! So fun! Hello, it's Fuu Ba Ba, and today I'm going to tell you a story about no jumping on the bed. In his room near the top of a tall apartment building, Fuu Ba Ba was getting ready for bed. His father said, "If I told you once, I told you a million times, no jumping on the bed. One day, it's gonna crash right through the floor. Now lay down and go to sleep." Fuu Ba Ba plopped down his head, squeezed his eyes, and heard, "Good night," said his father. He turned off the light and pulled the door almost shut. The room was dark and quiet, except for a soft thump, thump, thump coming from the room above. "That's Eli upstairs," thought Fuu Ba Ba. He switched on the lamp. If Eli can jump on his bed, so can I. Whee! Fuu Ba Ba jumped higher and higher until his hair brushed the ceiling. When he landed, the mattress creaked, the floor cracked, and his whole bed tipped up sideways. Then down through the floor went Fuu Ba Ba and all. Fuu Ba Ba's bedroom was directly above Dixie's dining room. She was quite surprised when Fuu Ba Ba landed in her spaghetti and meatballs. "I was not expecting company for dinner," she mumbled with a mouthful of meatballs. "I was not expecting company." Said Fuu Ba Ba. "Spaghetti is my favorite." But he didn't have a chance to eat. His bed smashed at the table and kept on falling and falling and crashing down through the floor. Down and down fell Fuu Ba Ba, Dixie, the spaghetti, the bed, and all. Mr. Fowler didn't even notice a bed coming through his ceiling until a meatball bounced off his head. Dixie landed in his lap, and Fuu Ba Ba splashed into his aquarium. "I already had a bath tonight," said Fuu Ba Ba. He wanted to watch the monsters on TV, but his bed crunched through the floor and took with it. Down and down fell Fuu Ba Ba, Dixie, Mr. Fowler, the TV, the spaghetti, the bed, and all. Fuu Ba Ba's Aunt Jessica had just moved in. She was still unpacking when Dixie, Mr. Fowler, and a dripping wet Fuu Ba Ba tumbled through the ceiling right into a box with their stamp collection. Fuu Ba Ba burst through the bottom of the box and down through the floor. Aunt Jessica soon followed. Down and down fell Fuu Ba Ba, Dixie, Mr. Fowler, Aunt Jessica, the stamps, the TV, the spaghetti, the bed, and all. Luke and Caleb had worked for days building a house of blocks. House of blocks. They were afraid that Nicole might knock it over. They shooed her out. Then the upstairs neighbors came through the ceiling. "Excuse us," said Fuu Ba Ba. "We won't be staying long." Then his bed crashed through the floor. Down and down fell Fuu Ba Ba, Dixie, Mr. Fowler, Aunt Jessica, Luke, Caleb, Nicole, the blocks, the stamps, the TV, the spaghetti. The last thing Mr. Carnahan expected was a bed coming through his studio ceiling, followed by nearly everyone in the building. "If I knew you wanted to see my paintings," he said, "I would have tidied up a bit." Then his floor caved in and everyone followed Fuu Ba Ba's bed down through the hole. Down and down fell Fuu Ba Ba, Dixie, Mr. Fowler, Aunt Jessica, Luke, Caleb, Nicole, Mr. Carnahan, cans of paint, the blocks, the stamps, the TV, the spaghetti, the bed, and all. Maestro Stafford and his string quartet were astonished by the colorful crowd that dropped in unannounced. "I love an audience," he said. But when paint splattered everywhere, the maestro wished the audience would leave. And they did, taking his string quartet with them. Leave. The maestro's floor was also the basement ceiling. It was dark as midnight down there. Fuu Ba Ba squeezed his eyes as he fell through the darkness until he landed on something soft. He opened his eyes. Everything was in its place. And outside the door, his mother and father were talking quietly. "Whew! No more jumping on the bed for me," said Fuu Ba Ba as he lay back down to sleep. Suddenly, he heard a creak. The ceiling cracked, and down came Eli, bed and all. Down and down fell Eli. "Hey, no more jumping on the bed." Whee! Fuu Ba Ba say goodbye.